Hello, welcome to Change. So let's see, where do I want to begin? Um, this call came up, the idea came up. I was having a conversation a couple weeks ago with a friend that's a shaman who lives down in Peru, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to him in a while. And I was talking about all the miracles and everything, and how much the world was changing. And, my question for him at the time was really related to, like, I was starting to perceive more and be aware of more in the world. And it was a little bit uncomfortable. And so we had a good talk. And the gist of what he shared with me kind of inspired me to come back and take a look at all the tools that I have for dealing with change. And ultimately, what Roman shared with me was that change is constant. I mean, and it is. You see the seasons, it never stops. We go from day to night to day to night. There's never a moment where it's day and it's night. We can kind of make it up and say that, hey, well, officially the sun is set, but there are actually really like 3 or 4 sunset times and 3 or 4 sunrise times. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Nautical horizontal. I can't remember what they're all called, but there are multiple times of sunset and sunrise. There's multiple, like, there's never, well, we've assigned moments to when spring starts or when winter starts and things like that. It's just, it's constantly changing. The earth is constantly changing. Um, we are constantly changing. You're never the same person. Every decision you make creates something just slightly different in your world. So the same goes for our awareness. Our awareness is constantly expanding, even when we try not to let it. There's always more that's available. Um, I'm saying a lot. It's funny. I should keep a counter. Uh, anyway, so the the change that happens for us, and so what Roman was sharing with me was that this change is the constant. It's not the anomaly that something has changed. And the best thing that we could do is to stay in our heart centered awareness and presence. And what that brought me to was the memory of, because I'm okay, so I'm a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness. I'm a yoga teacher. I've been riding horses for most of my life with a chunk missing, but um, that's been really formative for me. A lot of training, education, like all of these different things. And I facilitated change for people for most of my life. And I guess that this is the thing that's coming up now, right? Is like, oh yeah, I got a lot of tools. There's a lot. But I know sometimes when you're in the middle of things, that is the last thing that you're thinking about. I wonder what tools I have that can help me here. No, most of the time when things change, you're just trying to figure out how to get to the next 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So for me, in that moment, it was about, I was having this awareness of being like everywhere. It was like simultaneously being in all of the cities I'd ever been to. I've done a lot of traveling, so it was a little disorienting to all of a sudden be like in a meadow with sheep and then downtown New York City, just for example. And I was just asking him, like, where do I find ease with this? So, as I said, that first tool we've got today is staying in heart centered presence and awareness. Sometimes doing that is as simple as remembering that you can. It's not necessarily, hold on, let me put down my bag. I need to get into my presence. It's it's more like it's more like that. Expanding out. Access would say expanding out. Um, Actually, a lot of the different modalities that I work with would say expand. Not talking about physical body here for those who are like, what the heck are you talking about? You getting all woo-woo on me? Not really. It's just like, that tension, that's like a clamping down. And so if all you can do is relax that tension, and you can do that with the breath. Uh, Slow your inhale down just a little bit and slow your exhale down just a little bit. So we'll try that one now. I know I'm not counting or doing anything crazy. I'm just taking my natural breath and noticing it, becoming more aware of it. The letting go of any holding in your physical body can be something that you simply notice. So doing like a body scan. There are a couple different kinds of body scans. I know I have a video on YouTube that's a body scan. That one is literally going from body part to body part and allowing that part to relax. You can also do a body scan like this, where you almost like you take your awareness and you okay, I know it's a little silly, but like if you close your eyes and you imagine kind of like moving down through your body, you just simply notice if there are any areas of tension. You notice if there are any areas of anything, really. I mean, it could be a feeling, it could be a relaxed feeling. You're just looking. That's the presence. That's the centered presence, really. Is it doesn't have to be, oh, I've got tension in my left shoulder today. I'm a horrible person. How could I do this? I'm supposed to be centered and cut it. It's just noticing. So, I mean, you could call noticing in and of itself to be a tool that you can use in times of change. Notice what is coming up. If you can start to look at things that are happening and that are showing up without judgment, it becomes a lot easier to get to whatever that next place is, that place that you are actively evolving into. Because when you take the judgment out, you allow for it's like you allow yourself to choose how you want to go next. How would I say this? Choice creates. That's an access phrase. It's what you choose will then create what your future will be. Um, that is part of it. I wanted to say something else, but it's not popping right now, so I can't wait to see when it shows up. Okay, where else do you want to go? Oh, down to the changes. Like I've kind of jumped in and started with a couple of more simple tools, just a couple little things that popped into my world. Um, but I also wanted to talk about just change itself, because it can be it can be something profound and it can be something super simple. And it's not about whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's not like all change is bad, all change is good. You can get married. That's a huge change. That's a huge change that, might require you to have a little bit of that heart open awareness and support. It's not again, I guess change really has become a bad word for so many people in so many ways. So rather than being able to acknowledge, like, wow, life is different now, like there's something that's come up. I wonder, I wonder what it's creating, and I wonder what it can create. There's like a little bit of a resistance, even down to the way that this culture tends to celebrate um, marriages with like bachelorette parties and bachelor parties and things like that. Like it's like almost like a hold on and celebrate that last moments of freedom. Who's to say you're not free in marriage? But that's not the only change that can happen in your world. Sometimes marriages end. Sometimes, um, what's another change? Oh, you graduate high school and go to college. You graduate and go to work. You choose a different job. Something happens and you leave the current job you're in. There are so many different things that can come up on a regular basis. And one of the supports that I don't get that we've really been given in this society is just the normalization of it and the tools to have in the face of that to say like, okay, like what do I do? What do I do now? What do I do now? And that's one of the things I hear the most when I'm working with people is they kind of get to a place and they're like, what do I do now? Um, and sometimes the answer is just, what do you want to do now? What would you like to create? What would be fun for you? So started off with a couple tools. We went into this a little bit about what's changed. Now, some of this is coming up because I decided to do an 8-week group coaching. It'll be anywhere from 4 to 16 people is the plan, keeping it small. I like coaching groups just because when you get one person sharing, it can really contribute to other people kind of unfolding what's going on for them. So that is going to be starting next week, and we'll have tools every session, be able to talk about what's going on in our worlds and things like that. I get that there is one more thing I wanted to mention. Let me see if I can quietly allow that to come to the surface for a minute. No, I guess it's going to come during the course. Okay. Well, you know what? That really does feel like it for now. So if you're interested, head on over to the website, consciousbeing.institute. And if you go into the events, you will see the 8-week course. This is something I do fairly regularly. Sometimes I call it an integration deep dive. Sometimes I call it an change. Those are the two kind of main topics that revolve around it. But it really is about the integration of the experiences that you've had in such a way that you can feel that ease going forward. All right. So on that note, thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you. Bye.